All right. It looks like we have everybody joined in, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order and start with our open issues. So the first item on our agenda is a status update on the independent incident investigation. And so I will turn it over to Scott for an update.
All right,
Scott.
thank you. Yep, I got it. Thank you, Nicole. Moments ago, I received a fully executed non-disclosure agreement with MRC. So it looks like we are good to go now. I just also got an email about how the documents will be shared with us. So hopefully within the next hours or days, we will receive the initial tranche of documents, and we can begin that part of our process. And I think at this point also, it's probably time to start thinking about when we would make that site visit as well. But I think we need to see when the documents come in and what we receive first. And once we have an idea of that, we'll be able to make arrangements with MRC for that site visit. So that's where we are, and that's good to have some good news to share.
Great. Thank you for the update, Scott. So if I could just quickly summarize, what I'm hearing is that we have the necessary agreement in place for the incident investigation to begin. And within a couple of days, you anticipate receiving documents so that you can begin that incident investigation. And we'll work on a date for a site visit here in Martinez for you and your team.
Yeah, I think we hope that we'll get the documents that quickly. That hasn't been determined yet, but that's certainly our hope.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ken, I see that your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm told that the documents will be produced starting tomorrow.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you. Well, that is a very great update to be able to share with the Oversight Committee and the members of the public who have joined us today, that we will be getting the independent investigation started shortly. Thank you. So the next I have is a status update on all other open issues from the previous meeting. And I think really the only update I have, and it's not from the previous meeting, but it kind of has happened in between the last Oversight Committee meeting and this Oversight Committee meeting, is that on July 27th, we had a Industrial Safety Ordinance Community Warning System ad hoc meeting. And at that meeting, Contra Costa Health Hazmat was directed by the supervisors Glover and Joya to pursue a safety culture review of the Martinez Refining Company. And so when we get to new business today, we will talk more about that process and have the Oversight Committee review a request for proposal. A couple of other status updates on issues from our prior meetings is that the draft report was given to the Oversight Committee from TRC, which is the company that has completed the risk assessment and soil evaluation being overseen by the Oversight Committee. The Oversight Committee has had the opportunity to review that report and make comments. Their comments were submitted to TRC. Last Friday, August 4th, we received the new draft report with the incorporated comments and responses from TRC, and the Oversight Committee is reviewing those comments right now. They will have 1 week to review the comments, and once we have that draft final report, we will be able to open a public notice period, and that will incorporate the 45-day public comment period where members of the public will be able to review the report. We will have a public meeting, which will be on September 25th, and we will continue our process to have that risk assessment report, reviewed by the public. And then, as we've mentioned beforehand, the final steps of that would then be a presentation of the report to the Board of Supervisors and various city councils. So I'll just very quickly see if I have any comments from the Oversight Committee or questions before we move on to new business. Steve.
I just want to make sure you said September 25th. Is that the date?
That is correct. And we will have, we will be working with our PIO and communications team to ensure that that word is spread out. And we'll also be coordinating with the city of Martinez as well in getting the word out to people when we start that public notice period.
Thank you.
Do I have any other additional comments or questions from the Oversight Committee? Okay, I am not seeing any hands raised. So then we can go on to new business. So I just need one moment to change the sharing of my screen. As I wait for the document to pull up, I just want to kind of remind everybody about this process. This is very similar to what we had done when we were selecting contractors for the risk assessment and also for the independent investigation. The Oversight Committee has drafted a request for proposal, which will go out to various companies who specialize in safety culture assessments. So the purpose of today's meeting is for the Oversight Committee to provide any comments on the draft request for proposal before that is sent out. When the request for proposal is sent out to the companies will have 3 weeks into which to provide us a proposal. And from there, the Oversight Committee will continue their work on selecting a contractor to perform the safety culture assessment study. So I'm going to now share my screen for the draft RFP. And then I'm going to ask if any members of the Oversight Committee have any comments on the draft that was provided to them last week. I'm not seeing any hands raised or any comments in the chat. So then now I guess we can move into a vote then to accept the request for proposal as is. And I will go through the members of the Oversight Committee for that vote. So Stephen?
Yeah, on behalf of Lauren. Yes.
On behalf of Lauren, do you accept the draft request for proposal as is?
Yes.
Thank you. Kent?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Michael? Oh, Kent, I see that your hand is raised. Go ahead.
So part of this is I'm curious why it is that Shell was able to detect these issues, whereas MRC is not. And so, is it a cultural thing? Is it a process thing? Is it a competence thing? And that's, I don't know if this is the right forum for that, or if that should actually be part of the document. I'm just curious about that one particular.
Can you clarify when you say that Shell was able to detect issues, but MRC was not? I'm not sure I fully understanding the comment.
Okay. So my understanding is that Shell was able to detect when they were operating when there was a release of spent catalyst, and were able to activate the community warning system, whereas MRC is not. And what has changed that allowed Shell to operate in such a way and MRC not?
So I think what you're talking about in relation to the release is something that, in terms of detection of the release, will probably be evaluated through the incident investigation root cause analysis. This draft request for proposal is focusing on an overall safety culture study, which is really looking at various culture issues within the refinery, evaluating how people feel about safety, whether production and performance is valued over safety, kind of peer-to-peer perceptions of safety and items of those matters. So not really looking specifically at the release, why and how the release happened and what changed there. What the safety culture is looking at is this now snapshot in time of the various components that are being evaluated. Some additional examples of that are management's and leadership's commitment to safety, the various health and safety programs themselves, and the policies that are in place for safety. So I hope that clarifies that.
Yeah, okay, so it was not the right form, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to my list. So it looked like I had left off with Cheryl. And so the next Oversight Committee member would be Pedro. Do you vote to
Yes.
accept? Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Josh.
Yes.
Okay, and then Nick.
Yes.
Okay, so looks. You know what? Okay, I see that we had Tony Semenza online beforehand, and he looks like he had dropped off.
Hey, Nicole.
Yeah.
This is Mike. Tony called me for some reason. He had connection issues right before, right after you said we're going to take a vote, and he told me that he was going to vote yes, but he's still trying to connect.
Okay, if Tony is able to come back online, I will come back to just verbally confirm his vote.
Okay.
And then I see that we also have Deirdre who had joined online. And so Deirdre, also, I want to see if you had any, I will go back and allow you to let me know if you have any comments. I apologize, I did not see you in the attendees. And then if you have no comments, your vote.
I don't have any comments, so I vote yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So it looks like all of the votes are yes. Contra Costa Health also votes yes to accept the draft risk request for proposal as is. So the Oversight Committee will then move forward with putting this proposal out there to request and have a 3-week deadline for proposals to be turned in, after which the Oversight Committee will move forward with their work in selecting a consultant to perform the safety culture assessments. Okay. And the last item I had on my agenda was to discuss the timing of the public notice of the risk assessment report. We did go a little bit into that. We are looking at starting a 45-day public notice, hopefully in late August. We are actively working to confirm that the comments that the Oversight Committee has provided to TRC have been incorporated into the draft report. And we are looking at having a meeting on September 25th for the public on this report with more details and a lot more communications to be put forward to the community once we firm up all of those timelines. So if there are no further comments from the Oversight Committee, we can actually move over into our public comment period. Just as a reminder, every member of the public will have 2 minutes for which to make a comment on items of the agenda on the Oversight Committee today. And I ask that if you would like to speak and make a comment, that you please raise your hand so that we can go ahead and get people in queue to speak. I'm not seeing any hands raised. So I'll do one additional call for public comments. Great. So I see that we have AG who has raised their hand. So Kayla, if you can allow them to speak and start their time.
Yeah. Okay, AG, you should be able to come off mute and your time will start now.
Hi, my name is Alicia Gade. I'm from Healthy Martinez Refinery Accountability Group. I just had a question about the safety culture review. When that report is finished, will there also be a public comment period for that? And how will it be shared with the public? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This activity in performing a safety culture assessment will be run exactly like all of the other activities we've been running through this Oversight Committee. So we will be having public meetings, which will be recorded and shared with the public. When the report is finalized, there will be that 45-day public comment period with an additional public meeting to be held with a final presentation to the Board of Supervisors and City Councils. Okay. I see we have someone from the Oversight Committee, and then we also have Jillian. So I will call on Kent first, and then we'll move to Jillian. Go ahead, Kent.
Yeah, what exactly changed that got the NDA approved? I'm curious about the change, because normally there's a stock NDA and then the negotiation, and it had been in logjam for a while. Do we know exactly what changed that allowed it to get passed through?
I am not the best person to speak on that. I don't know if I actually have any members from our team who want to comment on that, or are able to comment on that, actually, I should say. Sorry. MRC, Ken, do you have any comments, or would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I think that would be best left to the legal folks.
Is there someone online who could speak to that for you?
Yeah, it looks like there are people from both the county and MRC that could speak to that. Unless they would not like to.
Kayla, can you promote Rebecca Hooley?
Yes, I just did.
Okay, I'm sorry, Rebecca, are you able to comment on this as a member of county council?
She just came back in, Nicole, so she might have not heard you while you said that as she was rejoining.
No, I am here.
Oh, great.
Hi. So I'm trying to. I wasn't prepared to think about the process that occurred, but I think that the county had a different approach to this initially, as far as whether the documents would be disclosed or just a final work product through the contractor, but we've reached an agreement on that, in that respect, that allows a disclosure process. So working out that disclosure process was one of the things that took time, as far as the issue of the extent of use that the contractor could, well, or the purposes for which the contractor could use the records.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move on to Jillian. Jillian, you'll have 2 minutes for your public comment. Kayla, if you can promote Jillian.
Yes, Jillian, you should be able to come off mute and your time will start now.
Thank you so much. I mostly want to say thank you for this process. And over the last several months, the process of being open to the public comments, being responsive, and making it as transparent as possible. I think you're aware that people like me from Healthy Martinez are keeping an eye on the process, on the health department, on BACMed, and mostly on the refinery. And I think this process has made it possible for us to feel much more invested and engaged. And I think that we're going to be a lot more engaged moving forward. So I just want to thank you for this. And as just a follow-up question, will like the NDA and all of those materials also be available for people to see, or just the final reports? That's it.
I believe just the final reports. The county was not party to the agreement, and that is not something that we will be sharing. Thank you. All right, I will do a last call for public comment, as I don't see any additional hands raised. Okay, I do not see any further public comments, and so
Nicole,
yeah.
I see Tony is back, if you want to ask him that question for voting.
Thank you. I don't see Tony online on my side. Cheryl, go ahead.
I just want, and Tony is there, I see him. But I just wonder, we have the new RFP to come out and about the customs or rather the, I'm sorry, you might just refresh my memory, the word that's used, the climate of how the employees are working within safety. How does this relate to the fact that there's been recent occurrences?
So I think, one of the drivers for wanting to do a safety culture assessment is the fact that there have been recent incidents that have come out of MRC in addition to the incident that happened, which was a major chemical accident or release. The safety culture assessment, again, is really going to be evaluating how employees feel about their safety. And of course, anytime there is an incident, safety is a component that's looked at that. So when we talk about the safety policies and procedures that, people will be, that a safety culture assessment looks at evaluating, that is also something that is taken into consideration when the employees are asked about that. But maybe to just shed a little bit of light on what the process looks like, there are different methodologies in which a safety culture assessment can be done. And the methodology that is being used in this instant is a survey to survey the employees on these various different topics. I am not familiar with the intimate details of what this particular survey looks like, but part of the process will be that the selected consultant will be taking a look at the methodology and the data that has been collected by MRC. Based on their review of everything, if they feel that there are any additional gaps that need to be addressed, they will have the opportunity to collect more information through the safety culture assessment, whether that be through additional survey questions, through interviews, through focus groups, and to be able to get a full picture of what the culture is like at this snapshot of time within the refinery.
Then just two follow-up questions. So will that include that the employees will be assessed confidentially? And will we be able to input on what we finally find in the final document in terms of safety?
So yes, the safety culture assessments are, especially surveys, are done in and not. When we're talking about safety culture assessments and surveys, one of the things that is promoted throughout the methodology is that it has to be in an anonymous form, right? So employees are usually only identified by whether they reside within a specific work group, such as management, engineering, operations, but there's not a way to specifically tell which employee is giving the information. Now, if there are interviews that are done, that's a little bit differently, right? Because the collector of the information will obviously know who they're speaking to. So it does depend on the methodology, but I do want to highlight that if anyone was interested in learning more about the safety culture methodologies that have been approved by Contra Costa Health Services and what safety culture assessment guidance we have given to facilities, we do also have a guidance document listed on our website at cchealth.org/hazmat under our industrial safety ordinance program, which lays out all of the different methodologies, talks about assessment timings, and then talks about what the facility's commitments are when they complete their safety culture assessments as required by the industrial safety ordinance. In terms of the report, the process is going to be exactly the same as we are using for this risk assessment and will be used for the incident investigation root cause analysis. The Oversight Committee will have a presentation of the findings by the selected consultant. The Oversight Committee will have an opportunity to comment on that draft report and have their comments incorporated before it goes to the public 45-day public comment period with public meeting, and then to the board and city council.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and then I will now circle back to Tony. And Tony, I just wanted to verify that your vote was also yes for proceeding with the draft RFP as is. Okay, it looks like Tony's having audio issues, but I do have his vote recorded via Michael Dossi as a yes for that. If there are no additional comments from the Oversight Committee and no additional public comments, then we will be ending this meeting of the Oversight Committee. And again, just a reminder to everyone, you can go to our dedicated MRC webpage to stay up to date on all of the meeting minutes, recordings of meetings, and all future meeting agendas and other activities related to MRC. Thank you.